The beginning of the drone business really emanated from a passion for flying model helicopters, and used to fly these model helicopters with rudimentary camera gimbals attached to them for the film and the movie industry in South Africa. It was a two-man operation to film and fly. All we wanted it to do was stay in one position and hover whilst we controlled the camera to get the shot. So it evolved from that, and we've obviously started designing a lot of our own equipment. The aerial view and the aerial perspective you get allows you to cover a fairly large area during a flight, and also, depending on what camera system you used, you could get a very defined object on the ground. So we started thinking about ways of applying that kind of technology into security and surveillance work. We then were approached by an organization here called the Peace Parks Foundation, who wanted to know specifically whether that technology could be applied to counter poaching activities. The biggest issue at the moment is rhino, and they're being poached at an alarming rate. So could we go and find a poacher in the bush using this kind of technology? They then said, well, we're quite happy to co-fund some of the technology. We acquired a couple of fairly big drones to start with that we're going to fly border patrols, and from there we've branched out into all different types of technologies. So from the original big aircraft, we've come down to an aircraft that's a little bit smaller, 2.4 meter wingspan. It's of foam construction, incredibly durable, easy to repair in the field, and has the ability to swap out the payload. So we can put different sensors on. It has a 2.5-hour endurance capability from an electric craft. Very quiet audio footprint on the ground, so it's super silent at night. Because of all of those factors, this thing ends up as a stealthy platform. So this little area over here, we've got laid out as our mechanical side of this workshop. We've got lathe capabilities for turning up some of the bigger stuff. Very small, high precision lathe over here for turning really accurate stuff. The CNC machine at the moment is busy milling out a mold that is going to end up producing this gimbal over here. If you wanted to get into flying drones and you were using them for surveillance purposes and you wanted a stabilized camera imagery, it's prohibitive for the average guy to get into it and to go and fly a drone in those kind of environments. They just can't afford them. If you do it this way, it makes it very affordable for the average company out there to go and purchase a drone and have the ability to have stabilized footage. And stabilized footage is everything when you're monitoring objects or subjects on the ground. If you look at some of the smaller craft that are out there that the US military uses, it would cost about $300,000. It has a 90-minute endurance capability. It can fly 10 kilometers away while maintaining live video feed, but it's $300,000. And we've gone and produced the same type of aircraft with even more capability. Ours can stay up for 2.5 hours. On electric, we can fly 30 kilometers away from ourselves while maintaining a live video feed. If we crash it, we can fix it in the field very easily, and we've done the same thing for around about $12,500. So it's very difficult for us to justify purchasing military equipment when we can do the same thing just by being very clever at integration of off-the-shelf componentry and building things like this ourselves. We can end up with nearly 20-odd aircraft for the cost of one of those. We need a very small area to launch and to recover this type of aircraft. A 50-meter strip in the bush is very easy to land in. We can land in tight, narrow areas. Typically, we have a command and control vehicle. Inside that vehicle, there are two stations. One is a flight commander station, one is a sensor operator station. For the pilot, there's the heads-up display monitor that contains all the critical vital information coming back from the aircraft. And on the sensor operator station, the sensor operator has a gimbal control in the form of a tiny little joystick like a game controller. And he has the live video feed that is displayed from the camera on board the aircraft. And he can zoom in on the object on the ground to better identify what that object may or may not be. The three partners in this particular business are all nature conservationists. We don't want to see anything being poached, whether it's lion, elephant or rhino. It's a national asset. It's something that we can't afford to lose, and to see them being poached and slaughtered at the rate that it is today is just not acceptable. So we feel that we need to try and help and do something, and if we can apply and try and put some form of technological solution in that aids and abets and helps the anti-poaching units, then why not? It just seems like the right thing to be doing.